As always, a brief summary. Nolan Wells went to Horn Island with a group of his friends on the 4th of July. The boat came back, but he did not. 2 days later, they found his body in the water. Independent autopsy came back undetermined. And ever since then, the story has been moving in 2 completely different directions at the same exact time. One side is treating this like a racial crime until proven otherwise. The other side is actually talking to the people who were there. I want you to watch what happens when those 2 approaches collide. First up, the friends themselves.
Let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that Nolan Wells is surrounded by so many of so-called friends and so many pictures, and after being found deceased, nobody has posted rest in peace? Instead, they all went private. Even the judge, stepmother of Warren Hudson, deactivated her social media? That's not friendly-like behavior. These folks preparing for something big. Woo, y'all some fraudulent friends. Y'all quick to want to dance with them until it's time to dance with them. Can you use a my deepest condolences post in the court of law? Judge Ashley Cole disappeared off social media like Nolan's friends' accountability. Wyatt Pyron was one of the last so-called friends of Nolan to go private on his profile. I guess he got the news late. It's crazy how everyone else came back safe, and even Nolan Wells' cell phone made it back safely. Nolan Wells is the one that passed away, but y'all are real ghosts. I pray that young man receives swift justice and that they don't get away with it was an accidental death excuse like they always do. I'm out.
This is the version a lot of people latched on to first. Private accounts, judge's son in the group, they weren't really his friends. It's emotional. It feels like something is being hidden. And when you're grieving, that version is easy to believe because it gives the pain a target. But notice what's missing. The one in that clip is sitting down, well, that man in that clip rather, isn't sitting down with the people who were actually on the island and asking them the hard questions on camera. They were just pointing, at Instagram and calling it evidence. Then Ben Crump steps in with the official call.
Today we are focused on getting all the information, whether it's video, whether it's photographs, whether it's testimony from witnesses who were on Horn Island 4th of July weekend to tell us anything that they saw, anything they heard, anything they videotaped pertaining to Nolan Wells, because it matters. We're going to get to the truth, but what we need is to make sure we get all of the information. Today we are focused.
Well, that's very convenient timing to say that very last phrase specifically as well. Crump is asking for photos, videos, anything from that weekend. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. But here's the part that never gets questioned. When the same attorney who has built an entire brand on certain cases starts framing a narrative this early, the fact starts competing with the fundraising energy. People on the left will scream justice the second a black teenager dies under unclear circumstances, but the second someone starts asking the people who were actually present for their full account, the same crowd suddenly wants silence and respect for the family. That selective intensity is not justice, if you ask me. It feels like strategy. And of course, the second, Brandon Tatum starts asking those questions, this happens.
Mr. Brandon Tatum, hi, I'm the nappy-headed fool again. Yeah. So the other day you called me a nappy-headed fool, and I've been seeing your interviews with the white people who clearly have done something to Nolan, right? And you consistently try to portray black people as if we're just delusional and we're just evil and we're just making this about color, when literally America is built off color. Literally, America is built off white people being jealous of every other group because we have things from God and they don't have a fucking thing. They have to steal, kill, and destroy for it, right? Cool, right? Can you please tell me, what is this? Who is this laying on the ground right here? Whose hair is that? Can you please tell me whose hair is that, Mr. Brandon Tatum? So I find it so mind-blowing how you're getting up here trying to defend shit that is clearly coming out in clear reality, that these white people beat the fuck out of Nolan, took his life, and the family who are judges, coroners, took his throat. Where's his throat? Where's his throat? Because God makes every person with a throat. But as I do my research on you, as I get a full understanding of who you are, it makes sense why you had to go and get you a white woman, because only somebody of her caliber would allow you to be disrespectful how you are. Because white women have always been the beginning of the issue. White women have always supported their men when they did ignorant shit. That is where my black women get that toxic mindset from. You know? I find it so weird how black men talk so much shit about black people and black women and black men and oh, how ghetto you are. Where did we learn that behavior from? Because if you was really educated and you did your research before black people got around the Caucasians, we used to behave, think, and interact a certain way. So what changed? Who did we start behaving like? The same people that you love being in arm and sleeping in the bed with. I find it weird. And then I always find it weird, the white women that y'all be choosing to go and get, and then you be trying to talk shit about black women. Baby, shut the fuck up talking to my people. Like, at some point, it has to feel a certain way that the only time that you get picked and chose and pushed out to the masses is when you're talking about your own people. The people who you look exactly like. At some point, that has to be painful. That has to be painful at some fucking point. The self-hatred that you have for yourself is showing and it's oozing out of you every time you open your mouth. I really want to know, what are you going to do when we have the 1,000% evidence that they took his life? What are you going to say then? Not a fucking thing.
I mean, if it turns out to be otherwise, we just going to have to report the truth. That's just how this goes. Now, Tatum is the enemy, not because of what he uncovered, but because he refused to stay in the lane they assigned him, I guess. A black man who won't automatically declare foul play is called a foot soldier. That's a new rule. That's the new rule, rather. You can only speak if your conclusion matches the predetermined script. Anything else, and you're disrespecting the mother. That's not protection. That's ownership of a narrative, as I keep telling y'all. So Tatum went and got the actual voice.
When I saw the video that they put out on the internet claiming that Nolan was saying, "Give me my effing phone back," the coach came out, Nolan's coach came out and said immediately he knew it wasn't Nolan's voice. And obviously it wasn't Nolan's voice because you were the one that was
me yelling, yeah.
in there yelling. You got into an altercation with somebody. Like, put me in your place where the fight is over, whatever happened. Nolan is somewhere, you're somewhere, you're hanging out. And when was the last time that you saw Nolan before you left Horn Island?
So after the fight, I didn't stay on Horn Island much longer. So the objective, I was really upset. So with you hearing me yelling, my uncle had told me to get on the boat and wouldn't let me back off the boat. Obviously, I was really mad and I wanted to fight, wanted to get up. What wasn't smart, man. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the boat, I'm yelling, and shortly after that, I left the island. I left probably 30 to 45 minutes after I got into a fight. We started to pack up and left because I was so upset. As Javon mentions, that they were ready to get me back to land because I was really mad. I was genuinely really mad. But the last time I saw Nolan, I was walking to the boat. This was before the fight. It's me and my old lady. We had just got out of a group of people. Nolan was walking towards Wyatt's boat. I was walking in the opposite direction towards my boat. And I dabbed Nolan up. I made a slick comment about something, actually about the girl that he was with. I made a slick comment to him. I was joking around, and I kept going. And not even 10 minutes after that is when I got into a fight. The last thing I told Nolan was, "All right, buddy, I love you. See you later." And I'm glad I said it. I had been under the influence a little bit, and that's probably why I did say it at the time, just, getting all lovey-dovey, but I'm at peace I said it. I'm glad I said it. That was my last encounter with Nolan.
Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard the audio, I was like, whoa. The audio people were treating like a smoking gun was, his voice. How you say it? Trayston Shepard? Nolan's own coach heard it and said the same thing immediately. Shepard sat down and explained it on camera. That one fact alone should have slowed the entire conspiracy machine down. Instead, a lot of the same people who were screaming for truth just kept moving the goalposts. because the truth they wanted wasn't the truth that showed up. And the internet response?
We're calling Officer Tatum, Detective Tatum now, because this man has broke the case. I don't know if he intended to. I don't know if he playing good cop to get the information out. I don't suspect him to be that type of person. Maybe this was all by accident. Maybe he's a master genius in disguise. Maybe he has infiltrated. Who knows? But all I have to say is, dear Mother Teresa, and that's not her name. I'm just not going to say her name. You shouldn't have came out and said them boys didn't see Nolan until 3 p.m., or that's the last time that they seen him, brother. Because to say that the last time you seen him was at 3 p.m., but now your son, stepson, whatever son, gets on there with Officer Tatum, or my bad, Detective Tatum, and tells him, oh, well, we were telling him to get on the boat because the boat was sinking. It's not verbatim what he said. It's jumbled all around in there. You got to listen to it again. Use some critical thinking in there as well. But that man said, my friend was telling him, get on the boat. He said he's going to stay with Katie. And Katie, Detective Tatum had said, well, didn't the girl say? He was like, oh, yeah, Katie had said that, and he hesitated. Hesitation caused fear because the words started getting jumbled. I got to know ball. That man said, Katie also said that she was screaming, telling him, Nolan, to get on the boat. And then today, we hear the call to the Coast Guard or whomever it is, and we all can hear it. I'm the first to tell y'all, hey, you're reaching. Y'all reaching, y'all doing too much. Man, you are gullible, you're stupid, you're dumb. You do not have any type of, forget critical thinking, you can't think at all. If you cannot hear clear as day, don't be, oh my God, Nolan, like that, oh my God, let me know everything I need to know. So, and here's the problem. Even if y'all openly saying that y'all were under the influence and was fighting all day, there was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's already been 2 or 3 fights that they have confirmed. Old boy friend got in the fight. That's the first person we hear on the water. Then the other friend get in the fight on the land. So what? Yeah, buddy, you shouldn't have did that interview. And if you did do the interview, your stepmommy, whomever.
Mockery. Instead of dealing with the new information, they make a comedy sketch about Detective Tatum. This is what happens when a narrative is more important than a kid who actually died. You don't have to like Tatum. But if your response to the new evidence is to turn it into a joke, you're not searching for answers. You're just protecting a story. All right. So this is the last one. Tatum tried to sit down with Crump.
Benjamin Crump. For everybody that said Benjamin Crump wants to get to the bottom of this, he really cared about Nolan Wells' family, I'm telling you guys, they do not care. It's just a money grab. How do you know, Mr. Tatum? Well, then why, when we reached out to Benjamin Crump, that they didn't respond to us or they made some lame response after our 4th attempt to talk to him? Here's the email. This is the first time we reached out to Benjamin Crump. You can look at the email there, and you know exactly that we reached out to his team. We gave a generic media outreach where we put the information in there and say, hey, we would love to have an open dialogue. We value the conversation. Here's something that we want to know from his perspective what he has, and we wanted to deliver what we have to him. All right, we did that the first time. Here's the second time.
5 days later.
5 days later, here's the next one. What was that, a day after that?
Yep.
And then here's the fourth one.
Yeah, the fourth one is 5:30 in the morning, and it's basically saying, hey, that's still... You go to the next one? Yeah, this is the first response I received, which is basically, or no, this is the final response where they basically say.
Yeah, so the final response said, thank you for reaching out, interest in speaking with Benjamin Crump, right?
Yep.
So the thing is, we reached out to Benjamin Crump. We reached out to talk to Benjamin Crump. We didn't reach out to talk to the family. We only wanted to talk to Benjamin Crump. Put the thing back up there. And so as you can see on there, it says, at this time, the family is taking a break from media engagement as they continue to grieve and spend time together. Why are you talking about the family? I know they're taking a break. Benjamin Crump should be taking a break. He's the attorney.
Correct.
We only wanted to talk to him. They acknowledge the fact that you reached out and interested in speaking with attorney Benjamin Crump, but says that the family is taking the time apart. It's just a lame excuse for them not to engage with us. And people are running their mouth about whether or not they want to know the truth or not. We reached out to them plenty of times.
4 attempts. The final answer was basically the family is grieving, so we can't talk. But Crump has been talking the whole time. Press conferences, interviews, framing the case publicly. He won't sit across from, the one person he's been getting primary interviews from, the people who were actually on the island. From the one person, who was doing that. That's not protecting the family. That's protecting the position. So, ultimately, man, and unfortunately, an 18-year-old is dead. That should be the only thing that matters. But instead, we're watching 2 completely different machines run at the same time. One is collecting firsthand accounts, voice recordings, and timelines. The other is collecting outrage, donations, and headlines. If the goal is really truth, then every person who was on Horn Island that day should be able to speak without being automatically labeled a liar or a killer. Or, otherwise. And the people claiming to fight for justice should be willing to answer questions from people who don't already agree with them. Nolan Wells doesn't get a second chance at that weekend. The least we can do is stop treating his death like a political football, game and start treating it like a young man's life that ended too soon under circumstances that still haven't been fully explained. That's it. So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to drop the word clarity in the comments. And stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. This is John 7:24. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.